Hello, tarot friends. I hope you're all having a very good day. Today I was thinking about what kind of reading I could do in light of the energy happening astrologically around us. And I think the best use of a reading would be to talk about what strengths you have that you can draw upon right now. This is an evergreen reading. You can listen to it whenever you want to. It is inspired, however, by the eclipse that is coming up next week, the Ring of Fire eclipse, which will be bringing to surface a lot of challenging emotions and situations that might have been kind of held under wraps for a while. Things are going to start bubbling up. So I thought, let's talk about what strengths can we use? How can we get through this? And that could include, spiritual strengths or otherwise. And we'll also kind of go into a little bit of how to develop those strengths as well. All right, so let's see what pile you prefer. For the pick a pile, you can either, pick which one you feel drawn to. I usually put my hand over the screen and just see if my palm feels different, warm, cool, tingly as I do that. You could also just pick whichever one you feel drawn to, or you can use the charms. And we have a butterfly for pile 1. For pile 2, we have the owl. Oops. And for pile 3, we have the lock. All right, so take a minute and see if one stands out to you. If more than one comes up for you, you can totally watch more than one video too. That can always be an option. Hi, pile 1. You chose the first card and the sweet butterfly charm. So let's get some cards going for you. Again, the reading is about something like a strength or multiple strengths probably that you can draw on in this time. So if you are feeling like you need strength, let's see how you can help yourself and what also might be coming up for you. All right, so we'll start with these cards here. Oh, already some answers coming out really fast. I love it when that happens. To me, that speaks to a very energetic reading, which is kind of fun. Let's see. It's always interesting to kind of choose the cards for me, the decks that I want to work with, because it really can impact the reading, obviously, the energy of the reading and the feel of it. So let's just fix this here. And for pile 1, we have these cards here. Oh. So what energy, what strengths can we call upon? All right, and I'm feeling like I'll switch here now to this deck. It's this one and this one. And these two. We'll move things over so you can see everything. And I do want to get one more in here. Let's just move some things over a bit. Give us some more space. My shaky hands always make this a challenge, but we'll get there. All right, okay, beautiful. Okay, so let's see the actual cards that you have now that we've pulled them out. You have the kite will gift you with widening. That's interesting, widening, like making space for things, I feel like. It looks so pretty next to these, the citrine. And then ether element, divine mind, and perfect order. Star element, higher passion and interplanetary homes. Very interesting. And the 7th auric field, truth of all truths. Wow, okay. So definitely some really interesting invitation, I think, to use some broad strengths. So we have the Page of Cups, the 9 of Cups, and the Four of Pentacles. We have the Creator, and that is the King of Wands or fire. We have Stress, which is the Seven of Wands or fire. We have, oh my goodness, more wands. Interesting. Traveling, the Eight of Wands or fire. And Courage, which is a number 8 major arcana. And then the Source, which is the Ace of Wands or fire. Well, that is very interesting. So the first thing I want to acknowledge here for you that you can draw upon in this time that you're experiencing now in the upcoming month is you have a lot of adaptability. You have a lot of adaptability, and you've been through a lot already, it feels like. I feel like you've done a really good job managing some of the stresses of everyday life. And like right now, if I feel like the stress isn't, I don't want to say that yet. What I will say though is that you do have like this great wellspring of strength that I believe has been born of having gone through a lot of really difficult struggles. And so you have this courage that comes out of you, and that with these two eights, there's a sense of mastery there. There's a sense of flexibility and adaptability that is unique to you. And this is one thing I should make sure I say to everyone, every pile, hopefully I'll remember. But a lot of times the strengths that we have, we undervalue because they can come easily to us. And sometimes also we just forget we have them, because when things feel stable or when we're not being challenged, we don't have to draw on those anymore. So part of the point of this reading is to bring those kinds of strengths to the light too. The strengths you might be taking for granted or not realizing are valuable, and the strengths that you may have forgotten you have. And this, I think, is the latter category. I think this is a strength that you might have forgotten you have, that you have gone through, and in some cases with this traveling cards, I think you've gone through difficult experiences by choice too. Like, not only has life kind of been difficult for you and there's been some real obstacles in your way, but you've also chosen to do challenging things to build your strength up too. So with both of these cards, there's just this real power that comes from you. And with the Source card, I mean, this is all the Creator, the Source. All of these cards right here are very powerful. And we have here, it's, to me, that feels like this solar plexus chakra, which speaks of confidence, and it speaks of will and determination, which all of these fire cards also come in to that realm of will and determination and motivation. So there is a lot of accomplishment, I imagine, here. And there's a lot of, like, you've had to deal with a lot of stress. And I was going to say earlier, like, it's not major stress, but then I was looking at the card and it's like, and this is interesting and maybe something for you to consider if this resonates, but I was making light of it because it seemed like it was a carnival scene. If you look at this, it's like this, it's really not a very attractive card to me, but that's okay. This monkey, and then this like juggling and playing music. And it seems like, dun, 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 dun. But the fact is, this is stressful. If you're in this situation, sure, the music might be playing, but you're like trying to do a million things and also stay safe. And you do not feel safe. So there might be in here the tendency for you, and I really want you to think about this, to make light of your current situation, to make light of the challenges that come up, and to be aware of when you're doing that. And I think since that showed up in this card, and since that whole, evolution of my reading the card happened, I think it's very important for you not to undermine yourself by not taking the stresses, the possible everyday things, or the carnival kind of loudness as not important. And I think part of the strength that you have, which we're talking about, which is just this courage and this endurance, this flexibility. I think that that bringing that forward into this situation is important, that you may need to take this more seriously, even just from a self-care perspective, so that it doesn't give you an ulcer, so that it doesn't, like with this feeling, it's just, it's hot and glowing, and there's this potential for it to be too much. So just keep that in mind as you go about your time and your days in this stressful kind of situation, and remembering also that you're bigger than this. And I think that's a real part with the kite and all this, the divine mind and the higher passion. And so to remember that you're kind of bigger than all this, and that is not the same thing as minimizing the importance of something. And I think that's maybe really important for you to know, because you do, I think, probably have this tendency to minimize, and minimizing something and saying it isn't important when it's making you crazy is not the same thing as kind of coming at it from a higher, more symbolic perspective, which is what this is really talking about. It's talking about like the bigger picture. One of the things I think of sometimes when I'm in a really stressful situation is like, at the end of my life, what thing is really going to matter? And it's not going to be this, not that it doesn't matter right now, but just the higher perspective is very important, because then it can give you the strength to deal with this. This is something that needs to be addressed, not ignored. And you have the tools to do it. And it's just a matter of like, okay, I need to take this seriously. In general, I feel like, there is this adaptability that you have. I think you maybe, have a good, for as much of a challenge you have a pretty optimistic outlook on things, or you just have a lot of support around you, that you're relatively safe. And I think that's important, and you also, I think, like, given this adaptability and everything, if something were to challenge you, I think that you would quickly be able to shift gears. And that's like a big deal. Some people will double down and hold on. And I don't think that's you. I think that you have more flexibility than that. Someone is mowing our lawn, so I apologize for the sound in the background if you can hear it. So if push came to shove, you'd be like, all right, I'm just going to go. Like, I'm not going to deal with this anymore. And so you kind of have this inner knowledge and this wisdom of like when it's time to let go of something and when it's time to bear down. And so I think that that's something also to kind of look to as this period, which might be more intense, comes into play. With the Page of Cups, there is a lightheartedness, and I feel like there could be another person in your life that's very supportive of you, that you have a lot of fun with. And this, I want to say also, is like being able to have fun with someone, or just in general, is like a real honest to God strength. And so in this case, it's, to me, like, it sounds so funny, but I really feel this way, that this is something to build on. Like, this is already intact. You just need to get in touch with it. This is something to keep working on. And it's so funny, the idea to work on having fun or being delighted. But honest to goodness, like, if you've ever been a new parent, you know that this takes the work. Like, you don't just get to go out on date nights whenever you want. It's challenging to remember to keep things fun and do things that entertain you. Watch comedy shows or things like that, because those are all strengths available to you, and they seem very surface, and that's okay, because you have a lot under the surface. So there's balance here. It's not like it's different than making light of things. It's different than being surface. It's more just about enjoying life, I guess, is really what I'm trying to say. And you have that capacity to bring all of this forward right now to help you out. And of course, I'm going to say, meditating is absolutely, a vibe here with the source and the creator. This feeling of being present with yourself, of focusing on like your inner light and your wisdom and the things that you can draw upon that are like this. The traveling in the Four of Pentacles with this suitcase being together is very interesting to me. I do see it as flexibility, but I also wonder if there's an opportunity here to actually travel somewhere and to kind of, I don't know, get in touch with parts of yourself that way. So just something to consider. And then let's see. I think your power is kind of in this like inner strength and stability, and that is a spiritual gift that you have. You can be present really significantly for others, which is a big deal, and you can do it for yourself too. So the idea of widening is like expanding your horizons. So just getting in touch with that flexibility, possibly traveling. The more I think, I'm looking at this, the more I wonder. With the star element, we have this higher passion and interplanetary homes. This idea that you can take your home with you, so this, again, this sense of security, it's really coming through so strongly in this reading, this adaptability and this feeling of like, being able to call anywhere home almost. And you come in, you have a lot of like spiritual strength in that, you know what I mean? Like I feel like this is something that you come by very naturally. It's something that you have, it's like it's like, like how somebody like, oh, it's a wise soul or whatever. You're like a strong soul, if that makes sense. You bring this through from before you were born, I feel like. And then in the divine mind, again, it's this meditation, the perfect order. I just feel like the road will rise with you if you go somewhere, whatever you decide to do, like you have, there's such a flow in this card in a certain direction, and there is this idea in the midst of this, like I could just see this woman hiding in this card somewhere that, you're meant to, I believe you're already on this journey, but you may have lost a little touch with it, but you're meant to be on this journey, and you're meant to find truth, that you've already done a lot of that work before now, but it's now coming into play, I think, a bit more. With the butterfly, I mean, talk about adaptability, right? The butterfly is a creature that transforms as it needs to make its situation work and to become a beautiful butterfly. There is the idea of migration, how the monarchs migrate in there, and there is also, let me see, I'm just there's a sense of freedom. I'm just listening to my intuition here. There's something I'm missing though. It's interesting. I feel again we have the courage here, this feeling of emerging from a chrysalis, and in knowing like getting, just again, it's the same message as before, but it's just coming through again. So I guess you really need to hear it, is just this like idea that like you have been under enormous pressure in your life, and it's not even, it's like emotional pressure or just life pressure. It's not like I think a lot of people think of work, when you think of being under pressure, it's like I'm under a deadline, and it's not that kind of pressure. It's more like a pressure that turned you into a butterfly, and to not forget that, not forget that you earned the right to shine and to be bold and to be creative and to be free, and not to forget that, do not forget that. It's a huge thing. And the other thing, to finish this off, I just want to say, is that people will, or already do, look to you because of that. They feel drawn to you because of that. So that's like such a strength that you have, because a lot of times our strengths, they're not just here to serve us in this lifetime, they're here to serve other people. And you being yourself, and you realizing that you have earned the right to be you know, like, it sounds funny, but beautiful, you know, the right to be like, kind of like a rich and multifaceted person is yours, and that by living that way and by being free and open, you will be able to help other people just through that alone. Wow, so really interesting. Let me see. So I'm just going to ask the card if there was one area for you to focus on, and I think I may already know what it is, but I'm just going to ask and see if there was one area for you to focus on in developing in this time. What would it be? Consciousness. All right, great. So being aware of your strength, meditating, being aware of your power. That's the word. Being aware of your power, being aware of who you are and embracing that is going to help you so much. And it starts with your thoughts in this card. These things, they are already there for the taking. They are things that you have developed and grown over your lifetime, and maybe even before that. But now it takes the realization that that's the case and flipping that kind of switch to take you into your strengths more strongly. Yeah, this is a really cool reading. I love this. I love the feeling. I can just feel the wings, the air under the wings of this bird. There's such a feeling of freedom and, again, strength, and working with the universe here is quite lovely. So I hope this helps you. I hope you get in touch with this part of yourself. I feel like you're such a strong soul, and remembering that is going to be everything. All right, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please do like the video. And if you like content like this, if you like tarot, I do also deck reviews, and I'll talk about how to read tarot, maybe working with intuition and things like that as we get deeper along into the channel. So subscribe if you would like to watch those things, and so that you don't miss them. And more importantly, have a wonderful day, and thank you again for watching. Bye. Hi, Pile 2. You chose the second card, and you also chose the Sweet Owl. Let's see what cards come up for you. So again, this is a reading about what strengths you have that will help you to draw what strengths you have that you can draw upon that will help you to navigate this coming kind of eclipse season, if this is when you're watching it, or just life in general, if you're feeling like you need a little bit of strength. Okay, let's see what comes up here. Thank you. Ooh, these cards are, the energy is not, that might be it from this deck for you. Very interesting. Let's see what comes out for these tarot cards. Okay, we have some communication happening here. Wonderful. I'm actually going to do a row, if I can get away with it, of 3 here. I feel like that is the right way to go. Yeah, these guys want to come out. I think that's it. And I'm going to put these to the side in case we have follow-up questions. Those are the ones that want to be involved. And then let's get some of these going. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And 2 more. Beautiful. All right, let's see what cards you have in regards to your strengths. All right, we have the deer will teach you gentleness. How lovely. And then the ether element, divine mind, and perfect order. That's very interesting. That came up in the last reading as well. For the cards you have, I'm not reading reversals today. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. So Page of Pentacles, the Queen of Cups. I Personalities going on. The 10 of Wands. The 9 of Wands. The Devil. Isn't that the funniest Devil card? And the Star. Interesting. All right, and let's see what comes up for here. Traveling also came up in the first pile. So interesting. The Fool card. So if you felt drawn to that first pile, it might be worth watching. Guidance. Very cool. Sorrow. Oh, and the traveling is the 8 of Wands or fire. Guidance is the 3 of rainbows or pentacles. And sorrow is the 9 of swords or clouds. Adventure is the page of rainbows or pentacles. I believe it's the page. And then integration is a major arcana card. And it's number 14. And this is, of course, 0 in the major arcana. Whew. Wow. I mean, this is a really strong, there's some really strong stuff coming through here, obviously. Really interesting. Oh, let's see. What am I picking up on first? I feel like there is a need, interestingly enough, to temper one of your strengths. With the Devil here, it's interesting. Like, I feel like one of the things you might be really good at is kind of getting your way and getting what you want in life. And if that is the case, I think pulling back on that is important right now. And this is in regards to other people and in controlling other people and manipulating other people. And those are all very mean sounding words, but we all do that. It's a survival mechanism. And so I don't think that is going to serve you in this coming period, where it may have served you very well in the past. So do keep that in mind as you come through this. I think the star next to it is saying, it's saying that there's a way to use this ability and not be and not hurt anyone in the process and not make people feel kind of trapped, because there's that potential with this card to do something like that. And we'll probably talk more about that, but just with the gentleness, right? And this idea, like this idea of, needing to come into a more nurturing kind of phase, instead of just focusing on like this more shadow side of your power. Let's see what else we have coming up. I think that, so a little bit more about this, this strength that you have that needs to have balance brought to it. It's there's a material aspect to it, like like you're very good with money or negotiating and things like that. You're good with money, like you're good at getting money, I think, maybe, or getting money out of people. But I don't know how you are at managing people. Managing money, it doesn't mention that in this reading at all. At the same time, there's this kind of burden that comes with this. I feel like this 10 of Wands is kind of hinting at this desire, this need for you to focus very heavily on things in order to get your way. There is this need to you aren't able to see everything around you because you're so heavily focused outside of yourself and at like particular targets. So I think of this game Splatoon 3, where it's like there's one weapon that's the sniper weapon, and you have to really focus on the other players and who you want to get and really aim at them to get them. But meanwhile, people can come up from behind you and they can get you that way. They splat you and then you're out of the game. And I feel like that's the kind of attention that is required of you, kind of like you have a very big vulnerability when you use this strength to get something from other people or to manipulate a situation. That there is a vulnerability here. And also it takes a lot of energy is the thing. I don't think you realize how much energy it probably takes because you're so focused on the outcome. But there are other outcomes, and I'm sure we'll talk more about those as well as we go through the reading. So that's kind of something to know about this side of you and how it is. It's not exactly everything it's cracked up to be. Now on this side, it's like it's the tempering of this, the integration of this part of you with the more gentle part. And it's interesting because we go from the 10 of Wands to the 9 of Wands, which are two very different places. If you look at them from the perspective of feeling safe or creating safety, the 10 of Wands, like I described, it opens you up for attack from the back, basically. And unfortunately, I think the realm that you live in, if you're living with this perspective, is a little bit like you feel like you're going to get attacked. And that's a very adversarial view of things. So that's also something to be aware of. Versus the 9 of Wands, which is like, this is somebody who's ready for someone else to come. This is someone who has good boundaries and has been through some things in life and used the lessons of those things to change their behavior. And you can see like the environment they're in is much more lush. There's, flowers here, and there's trees in the background, leaves in the background. There's just more of a feeling of support and abundance here, even though there is a little bit of an adversarialness going on. So it could be that there is some kind of, there is something to protect yourself from coming up, or that you've been experiencing. I think you've probably been experiencing it. And it's not saying to ignore that. And in fact, this is actually ignoring it, even though it feels like you're charging ahead. So just a heads up on that too. But it is a dialing back of intensity. And it's more of a situation where you're not pushing things, but you're waiting to see what happens. It's not so much forging ahead. And the focus here, instead of being on outcomes or getting things or whatever, like being goal driven in a material aspect, is the Queen of Cups. And this focus is very different. This is someone who, and this is a strength that I think you have that you can tap into because, beautiful. Here's the thing. This ability that you have there's a positive side to the strength, which is that you can really read people and you can relate to people really, really well. And if you use that power not to gain from it in in a material sense, or a more like, I can't think of I was gonna say like vulgar sense, but that's like it's a very nuanced, the way I'm using it is very nuanced. So if that is offensive to you, just ignore it, because I don't mean it to be offensive. It's more like I don't know. There's no better word. Sorry. So instead of, it's helping people in this way, or reading people and being able to use that in a way that is productive, that helps you to bond with other people and to feel close to people. So there's a very different kind of way of looking at things that is being brought out, this new option based on this strength of yours to be able to be closer to people and thus closer to yourself, to get your feet in the sand, to feel more grounded, to feel safer, just because you feel like you can trust people and they can trust you. And so that will help so much. And so know that this is an amazing gift in a sense for everyone, because you do have this ability to read people and to help them in ways that other people won't be able to, because you see people more fully if you take that time to see them more fully, instead of just seeing aspects of them that you can, manipulate, I guess. And again, I'm not trying to be offensive, and I'm sorry if you take it that way. It's a fact of life, and again, a survival mechanism. So I mean nothing rude by it. And chances are it was developed in a very in a way that you needed to develop it, and it helped you when you needed it to. I think of like kids whose, parents don't pay attention to them, or, a lot of times this is a skill that comes forward when we're younger, when we're little, because we learn how to survive sometimes is by, arranging people around us in a way that and that you need in order to, just get food and affection when you're little. So please know that I know that as I say this, and know that for yourself too. There's no shame in this. There is all the potential for change. And growth as well. And so with the Star card, that just speaks to this even more, this idea of building relationships, but also looking out for yourself, and that's also in this card. I mean, I would say that is this side of the card and this is that side of the card. So there's this ability that you have to nurture other people and to be, to give them exactly what they need, and to do the same for yourself, and so there's this real balance in this card and this ability that you have to make this happen. And in large part, it's because you have done all this work to figure out how to gain power through relationships. And it's shifting that so that you're feeding yourself and you're feeding other people, and you're not taking so much, or you don't need to take so much. You don't feel so much like you have to take. So it's really quite a beautiful thing, and a beautiful, it's like a beautiful transformation that you're being invited to make. So let's look at these cards over here now. So with traveling, again, I see this like this ability to be adaptable or adventurous. I think for you, maybe it's more adventurous even than adaptable, but to embark on new things and try different things. And especially with the Fool card, there's a feeling of newness, of starting out on something new, starting from fresh even. So if you have that ability, even if it's just in a relationship, right? I want to start fresh. This isn't what things aren't going the way I want to. Let's start fresh. Or if it's, changing jobs or whatever it is, like there's this feeling of, and you have this like cool water in your reading. And I just feel that coolness in these two cards, like energetically, there's this feeling of newness and of being able to breathe freely versus, some of these cards, which feel very tight energetically, very dense. These are two very dense cards. This is like the opposite of that. So there is this like ability to kind of like, to just let go of some baggage that you're holding on to and start fresh, and to forgive yourself, which I think could be a really big part of this. You have a strong sense of self that's really able to, I think you have the strength of self-forgiveness. And I think that's really very important, because if you can't forgive yourself, it's like the world becomes a very difficult place to live in. And that isn't about necessarily forgiving yourself for this stuff. I don't know that it is, but I just know like there's this need to start off fresh and be like, you know what, I'm going to change my ways and I'm going to try something new, like, Scrooge on Christmas morning vibes over here. And again, that is a real gift. It's a real gift to be able to, all right, I'm going to turn a new page and we're going to do this. And that's that. And so that's one of the strengths you can build on, instead of like, and the thing is like, cause you're in the 9s and the 10s over here, like, it's very much like, situation is over. This is kind of done in a way, or you're done with it. And so it's like, start fresh. That's all I can say. I just keep saying the same thing over and over again because I really feel it strongly. Start fresh. Okay, so we're going to move past that now. And along with that, I think you also have guidance coming to you, and that you probably, if you don't already know, have some kind of intuitive sense that can bring you into this newness, and that allows you even to kind of have a clean slate. And so it all depends on what you believe. You're watching a tarot video, so you might believe in spirit guides, in angels and things like that. And if you do, this is the card for that. To me, it's a card that's telling you to look for guidance, to not just listen to yourself, but listen to your higher self, or your spirit guides, if you believe in that. And so meditating, opening up to that, or just being open to it, like in your day-to-day life. I feel like there's, this may not apply to all of you, but I have this feeling in my body, which is a way my intuition talks to me, that even during the day, there's this strong voice that kind of talks to you if you would listen to it. And it's this, it's a guidance, it isn't like a real voice, but it's like kind of like a message that you get, and it's very much even in your waking life, it's part of it. So if you're not feeling that right now, working on developing that is a really great thing to do. It's really smart. And I think especially as you go through this new phase, to stay on the right path, you're going to need that part of yourself to be open and to listen to it as well. There is this sorrow coming in here. Let's see. Adventure. I didn't even know that was there. I was talking about adventure over here with these two cards. I didn't even know. You guys were probably watching it like, yeah, adventure right there. Anyway, so that just kind of pushes that idea forward. I love it when things like that happen because it's such confirmation. And if you look at this, like it's a little kid, this fresh, innocent perspective like the Fool has, and it's combined with the rainbow colors of the guidance card. So it's just this lovely combination of these cards and moving forward into what is probably a little bit unknown to you. If it's a less protected spot, I think that's enough for it to be pretty unknown based on the cards. So being willing to venture out that way and know that you have a map and a way to get there, but it's not your typical way that you do things, I don't think. So it's going to be interesting, and there might be some sorrow amidst all of this since that card has shown up, and I feel like it's connected to the issues that you're having in some relationships where you feel vulnerable or open. There is some level of there's some level of, again, with the star and helping others and helping yourself, and there's a balance also being required in regards to these relationships, that you need to allow yourself to be upset and sad about things, which I think isn't necessarily a place you often go to yet. And the thing about sorrow is that it is a mechanism through which we release energy and suffering in our body. And so crying is like a super healthy thing. And so just doing something like that is even a help. So even though it feels like a weakness, because in our culture we focus so much on not crying, I think that it is a huge strength to be able to cry. So if something like that comes up, instead of protecting yourself from it, don't bother. Just be upset. Try not to control your emotions so much, and don't worry about being vulnerable quite as much. Also, is kind of in the cards. And all of this means you could have the capacity for these things too. So know that as I say this, just know that is a thing you're able to do. Some people, I think they're like, oh, I'm shut down, I can't, and if it comes up in the cards, I really believe it. Also, this could have something to do with the traveling card. So kind of processing grief through adventure, it's kind of interesting. And it could be, no, I'm not going to say that. I don't see that in the cards. So, through some kind of journey, and embarking on a journey with the intention of change and starting off fresh. The integration card really just talks about everything that this reading is about. And I think that the divine mind and perfect order, to me, it feels like in this particular case, almost like an alignment, a realignment of you with your destiny, or you with the energy that is yours. I feel like it's almost like a chiropractic adjustment that I'm getting the feeling for here. So this feeling of like a realignment, a restructuring that is in line with what is truly you, which is more along the lines of this person and less of the devil person. The integration card also speaks to being able to use your good skills and your ability to read other people and your ability to get where you want to go, and mix it with your intuition and your guidance, and that deeper wisdom that you contain. And it's going to really help you on this path. It's interesting because I don't feel that fear really plays a huge role here. And I would normally assume that, but I think curiosity is stronger. And I think the real worry is just this idea of sorrow. And that could be an obstacle. So allowing that a place is going to be very important in this process. I'm going to pull out one more card, just if there's any more advice for you on how to build this strength or change the strength of reading people into something that is more caring and loving, as well as, following this guidance and starting off with a clean slate. So is there one area to focus on? Please let us know. Holy moly. I take that as a no. Look at all this. But no, there is one card that fell out too. So that's a lot. Oh my God, nothingness. All right. That's beautiful. So the thing to focus on is starting over. And the thing to focus on is not trying to let go of that need to control things. The number 5 is such a card of the number 5 is a number of discomfort. And so there's an amount of discomfort in all of this, and that not trying to control other people or outcomes is going to be necessary, and not letting go of those goals and everything. And that's starting fresh. That's a big part of it. Wow. And then also, I didn't even talk about the deer will teach you gentleness. We did talk a little bit about that. And I think that's ultimately like the direction to be pulled in through all of this is towards a more gentle attitude towards yourself and others, and really examining your motivations when you do things. And I think by being gentle and open, this is going to open up that guidance even more for you. With the owl, I think it's the goddess Athena, right? This wisdom that comes to people. And this is, I believe, my sense is saying this is a wisdom that is the guidance. Again, this whole section is kind of related. This guidance that you will receive, that's kind of from outside of yourself. Even if it's the higher self, it's still outside. So being open to that is going to be very important. So the combination of gentleness and listening for higher wisdom is really big here, and hitting that reset button and letting go of what you think you want or need, and not not fearing the results of things. I don't know. There's some aspect of emptiness in this card that I really feel like needs to be highlighted, to let yourself feel empty. It's a weird directive. Hopefully it makes sense to you. And we had these other cards that I said if we had questions, we would bring them out. So I'm just going to do 2 on either side, and then we'll see. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so furthering this idea, 8 of Cups is about leaving something behind, about, realizing that you don't fit in a place. So it could be that, this has developed even further in the current situation that you were in, where you haven't felt safe, or you felt like backstabbing is possible, I think. And so leaving that, because it's part of why you've become so heavily involved in kind of manipulating. And then also there's an aspect of healing that needs to take place too. So, and that's kind of the emptiness, is this feeling of letting go of what you have been so hooked into for such a long time, and working on healing and dealing with the fallout from that situation. And it's going to be wonky and uncomfortable, I think, based on the 5 again. And it's also going to be tremendously rewarding. And I think that's where, the Fool comes in and all this stuff, that you have this strength, this ability to start over from the start, to start afresh and to move on and to just really grow as a person. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot here. There's so much more than I even thought there would be. And it's really I'm excited for you. If you follow this path, if you go in this direction, I think it's going to be that alignment, help you to fall back in love with yourself and understand yourself better from a new and different perspective. I think even that you would be allowed to not have to put on any guises or behave a certain way, that you can just truly be yourself, and that you can look foolish sometimes and it's okay, and that you have a lot of support for that. And those are all strengths that you have that you may not even know about because you've been so separated from that for such a long time. Really lovely stuff. I know this current situation probably does not feel so good, but I also know that you're being popped out of it. And it comes from you, though. Your own self is popping you out. So rely on that, know that that's true and that it's okay. Well, thank you so much. I really feel like you have this capacity to be this really, compassionate and creative person that has always been there, but now it's being called out and pulled out of you. So responding to that is going to help you immensely over this eclipse season and beyond. And if, again, if it's not the eclipse, it's still the case. All right. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do like it. It means a lot to me. And if you like content like this, if you're interested in tarot readings, tarot deck reviews, talking about tarot, and also I think I'm going to add in some more intuitive stuff depending on what people are looking for, this is the place to be. So please subscribe so you don't miss anything. And more importantly than that, have a wonderful day, and thank you for watching. Bye. Hi, pile number 3. You chose the 3rd card and you chose the lock. So let's see what cards come up for you. And again, the question today is, what strengths can you draw upon or build off of that will help you in the coming period? So we have 2 that very much wanted to join into the reading. And I think this one as well. Oh, this one just was refusing to get picked up. So I think that one wants to come out. Hello, friends. Okay, great. Thank you. Ooh. There's a lot of cards that want to come out here. I'm just going to make some space. And let's see what else comes out, if anything. Okay. And these 2 as well. 3 as well. Okay. Wow. All right. We have some vocal cards. And I'm just going to take out a couple of these on the end. It's funny, every reading, obviously it would be the case, but is a little bit different, even in how it wants to show up for the person I'm reading for. So let's see what's showing up for you today. All right, we have, to start off, the chimpanzee will help you to contemplate and contrive well. And to contrive well. To contemplate and to contrive well. That's like a tongue twister. Oh, sound element. Every tone, a unique power. Very interesting. Fire element, regeneration and transformation. Big power, big energy here in this reading so far. Third auric field, judgments and structure. Very big energy. All right, and then we have the Six of Wands, the Nine of Wands. Lots of wands in these readings today. Very interesting. Knight of Swords, who just couldn't wait to join us. The Three of Pentacles, the Page of Pentacles, the Four of Wands. A lot of celebration happening down here. The Lovers, the Five of Wands, the Nine of Pentacles. My goodness. This is good. Integration, that came up in pile number 2 if you were interested in that, and the source came up actually in pile number 1, interestingly enough. All right. Okay, it's gonna be fine. Let's see if we can't get these a little bit more into the reading. Yeah, I think that's good. So we got this big energy happening over here. And this like kind of celebration happening, some really good stuff. Wow. Again, in pile number 2, this also came up, this idea of being like hearing guidance and things like that. And I do feel like there's something here about, I mean, obviously there's something about sound. It says sound element, but there is, It's a very intriguing reading to me. There are these big energies happening. And then in addition, there's just a lot of celebration and lightness in being with people. And that's very interesting to me. In the chimpanzee, it's kind of about, you know, not missing the big picture. And so that's really interesting also, because this is very big picture stuff. So let me tell you about some of these strengths that I'm seeing for you. There are a lot of them, and a lot of them come from past achievements or things you're currently achieving, and having people to celebrate with, people that you talk to. A strong social life is really kind of coming through here for you in this, and an ability to enjoy your surroundings and to just be open and welcoming to people. You're like a good host, you know, or hostess. And this idea of like healthy competition, and there's just so much friendship happening and collaboration happening throughout these cards. It's really quite interesting. There is a feeling of what is this? I really need to pull out more cards. I think I am not sure. So let me tell you what's going on. I'm kind of surprised by the discrepancy between these groups of cards. And I'm also curious. There is a decision that you have to make here, and I feel like I know the answer, but I just always like to make sure from the cards that I get the confirmation of what I'm thinking. So I never like to just say, this is what I think. I like to always have a reason to think that, besides just my brain saying, well, this is what it could be, you know. Okay, postponement and moment to moment. So there's something to do with time here. And not rushing things and not being in a rush, I think, is important. I want to keep this, I have like barely any space. Can I? I can. I'm gonna just move all of this out here to give more space. I really feel like these cards belong in the reading and not just to be there temporarily. Okay, that's good enough. All right. And so there is this kind of, I feel like someone wants to go fast. The Knight of Swords is a very fast card. And I feel that you are more a person who lives in the moment, who is moment to moment, and who is not in a rush. And these are strengths. And I want to say that again, because I think it's really important to know that you not being in a rush is a strength. And that there is no need to rush into a decision right now. That you are enjoying your life, and that is a strength. The ability to enjoy things, the social life that you have, this celebration that you do with the people you love, those are all wonderful things. And it is going to take time to know or be able to commit to a decision that could impact that. And the thing is that I want to say it should not impact this. And that's part of the reason that slowing down needs to happen, because you need to be able to keep your good relationships and your social life and your enjoyment of things intact. And that is going to require, in the light of this decision, going slowly so that you don't miss these things. You might have, and I feel like there's a pressure, there's a pressure from outside of this group of people. And so like the thing that comes to mind, but this isn't going to apply for everyone, though I think it might apply to some of you, is the rush to get married. Someone wants to get married and they want to do it ASAP, but you have this whole other life that you live that is very important to you and is actually a very important part of you. It is a strength that you have. And to rush into this is not giving you and this person the space to kind of let your life be a part of the relationship. They need to realize that they're not just marrying you, but a lifestyle and a group of friends. And if that isn't going to work, it needs to be integrated in that way. And I'm not saying that it's not going to work, but I am saying that it's going to take time to bring it to a place if it's going to work. And so, but that could be any kind of decision. It could be a job offer that you've gotten. It could be, there is something that you're asked to commit to. It could be moving to a totally new town, and it's like, well, how, do you want to do that? And I think it's important to keep these people, this rich life. I mean, this is a whole, tapestry of relationships and hobbies and things that I'm seeing that are on the line because of this decision. And you do not have to sacrifice these things to make this decision. Time is required, though. And I think you are hesitant. I think you already feel this, and it's like the cards are just like, yes, postponement is right. Even if it's like a little scary or worrying, I think this is so much stronger than the fear of disappointing someone or making the wrong decision. And the cards are just like, it's just funny. I want to impress upon you that these cards insisted on coming out. Like it was like, don't forget about us, right? And that's the feeling. It's like, don't devalue this. Don't forget about what you have built in your life already, and that know that is important. It's so important. It's so rich. It's so much a part of you. Let me see what else. And that is the chimpanzee it's kind of like that, because he swings from branch to branch. He has to be super careful about which branches he chooses. For some reason, I'm like all tongue-tied when I talk about this card. I'm like, what could that mean for the reading? Maybe you have a hard time expressing yourself to this person. Maybe that's what it is. There are some people like that for me where I get all tongue-tied when I try to talk to them, and it's just like I have to accept it, and I feel like maybe that's something. Maybe they make you a little nervous or tongue-tied. I don't know. Something to think about. But the chimpanzee chooses its branches very carefully, and it takes its time. So that's really important to consider in all of this. And then we have regeneration and transformation. We have these big things like going through transformation and being like judging things clearly and being wise in your decisions, again, is showing up in this card. And it's also like this idea of structure. It's like the decision you make or the commitment that you make should be building off of the structure you already have in your life. I really feel that, like, for some people, sure, like, you can shift your whole life and change it. I don't see that as being, I just don't see that as being a great option for you. And I also don't really think you're at risk well, I don't know. It is showing up. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to take that back and just pretend I didn't say it. For the sound element, every tone a unique power, I feel like this is like speaking to the many rivers that feed your life, the many streams, and not just going down to one source of river. Like, that is really important. You have like a nice balance. You can introduce something else into it. But you want to keep that balance going. And the thing is that because if you're coming into a season of regeneration and transformation, you need this foundation on which to build that. That if stuff is going to happen that's going to be challenging, and it may very well be the case, this is the ground on which you struggle and survive and heal from those things, so it's like that. This is the stability, and it's a gigantic strength. And I'll tell you, I said this in the first reading, I forgot to say it in the second, but sometimes our strengths, we take them for granted because they come so easily to us, or they just are a natural part of our lives. And so part of the point of this reading is to point out those kinds of strengths, and this is one of them, that you may not realize how strong this makes you, and that it's very important for you to know that, and to know not to take this for granted or dismiss it as not being as important as it is. All these cards came out to balance things, to bring balance to this idea of rushing and this idea of the commitment and the weight that they carry in your life. These are heavy too, and in fact, they are heavier. So please don't discount them. And then it's funny because the lock also, I think of a chastity belt, which is like in the Middle Ages. You can look it up if you don't know what it is, but that's all about waiting, right? The chastity belt is all about waiting. And in this case, it has to do with romantic love, but I don't, that's not what I'm saying here, but I am saying there's this element of waiting for it to work out, for the right key to come in. And so, I think that there is this idea very much of postponement and working to like integrate things and not rushing, to just go moment to moment and deal with things as they come, instead of having this be a very looming, stressful thing, which might be, getting overwhelmed is also a time when I mix up my words and everything. And it could be that this is very overwhelming to you, and the weight of this decision is overwhelming. And so to just break it up and take it moment by moment and just experience it as it comes, with the source here, again, I just feel like there's so much strength behind, this situation, that it's no mistake, and that there is something um, there is something that you're going to need this strength for soon, and it's just so interesting. I mean, everything matters. It's, making the cake, it's like all the different ingredients. If you miss one ingredient, that cake is going to be flat or salty or too sweet. You know what I mean? So you need all of these ingredients to make a happy life, or a stable life. It's more than just, salt and pepper. It's more than all or nothing. There's another option. There's a third option. You have that available to you. So the last question I'm going to ask in light of this is, I think it's postponement that is the thing, but I'm just going to ask for like a little bit more. What is the one area that we can focus on? Oh, interesting. Completion. So again, the idea of the key fitting into the lock. This idea of waiting for things to click, for you to know it's the right time. That's it. So waiting and trusting that when the fit is good and when it's okay to say yes or to say no. Yeah. I don't know. It's a crazy reading. I mean, the thing is that you have so much. I think there's like a good amount of pressure on you right now just about this one thing where everything else is so good. But it's a big deal, and you absolutely have so much support to postpone and slow down, and that is your biggest strength right now, is the ability to slow things down. And then also your ability to kind of bring people together, to bring things together, in knowing when it's right and being able to judge that for yourself. You have a strong inner, and this is why I said earlier, I don't think you would make this decision, but there is a chance you might because of the pressure, but you do have this like strong gut that you can rely on for all of this, and that you definitely want to listen to that. You are a really fun person, and you really enjoy yourself. And I just don't take that for granted, really. What a cool reading. I know there are some challenges here. I know postponing something that is a really big decision can be hard when someone that you really, want to say yes to is pressuring you. At the same time, you have so much support and so much you can draw on internally within yourself as well as externally. It's wonderful. And it's not something most people get to have in their lives. Believe it or not, this kind of friendships, this kind of richness of social life is a rarity for a lot of people. So know that. Yeah, really cool reading. I think you've got this. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciated it. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. It would be lovely. Also, if you like this kind of content, like tarot readings, deck reviews, talking about tarot, talking about intuition, there's going to be plenty of other stuff coming out with that in mind. So please subscribe so you don't miss any of it. And more important than that, have a wonderful day, and thank you for watching. Bye.